Oh, Minnesotans, this one's for you. Where are your tax dollars going? A new report from an investigative journalist, Chris Rufo at City Journal, claims that federal counterterrorism sources have confirmed that millions of taxpayer dollars, some of which have been kicked back to the state by federal government, which means you and I paid for it too, have actually ended up in the hands of a terrorist group called Al-Shabaab using daycare and autism claims through Medicaid. Autism treatment centers spiked in the state, with many opening up by the Somali community. With the article noting, quote, costs quickly spiraled out of control in 2021. The program paid out more than $21 million in claims in the following year. Annual costs shot up to $42, then $74 million, then $104 million during the first 6 months of just 2025. Autism claims in the Somali community then rose to triple the state's average, causing claims and payments to surge. That's when Somalians use that money to fund the Somali-based terror group called Al-Shabaab. I'd like to mention the money was stolen during the administration of Tim Walz. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, the founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, and Dalia Zadia, the Washington, D.C. coordinator for the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy, both members of the Clarity Coalition that opposes the Muslim Brotherhood. Zuhdi, I read this and I was like, I did not spend 9 years of my life in Iraq for this crap to be funded by my tax dollars.
100%. And, it's a tip of the iceberg. There are so many different organizations, some Islamists that have been funding encampments and giving, quote unquote, scholarships to those that would fight part of the red-green axis, if you will, on the extreme left. The BLM movement was fueled by a lot of that. We've been screaming about this back from 2011 when we testified with Congressman King at the counter-radicalization hearings in Congress. And now they have a farm team, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and now Zahran Mamdani. And the Muslim Brotherhood should be designated a terror group. Hamas funding through Holy Land Foundation. They were all convicted and went to prison for 25 years. And yet we went all the way through the Obama administration that then funded Iran, that funded Hamas, and the Islamist groups all supported that in many ways. Students for Justice of Palestine supported it on their website too. So it's the tip of the iceberg.
Dalia, your organization actually just issued a report examining the Muslim Brotherhood's comprehensive and multi-generational strategic campaign to transform, not get along with, not melting pot, not assimilate, but transform Western society, especially the United States, from within, finding that unlike conventional terrorism threats, the Muslim Brotherhood strategy actually exploits democratic freedoms and institutions to advance fundamentally anti-democratic objectives, like what we're seeing in Dearborn.
Absolutely. What we're seeing in Dearborn and in other places, and what we have seen in the past 2 years, especially the rise in anti-Semitism, and people today are practicing it with pride even, are all signs that unfortunately the Muslim Brotherhood has been succeeding in progressing through their 100-year plan. And let me tell you, it's not only about transforming America from within, but let me use the word that they use. They said sabotaging the West from within. It's a systematic process of weaponizing democracy and open society in the United States and other Western countries just to destroy this democracy and replace it with a very extremist system that discriminates against all and everyone under what we know as the Sharia law.
Yeah, Zuhdi, but the other thing too is we see what's happening in Great Britain, where they were welcomed in with open arms. Now they're consuming almost an unstable amount of public resources by not working and doing government programs. We're seeing rapes in Sweden. We're seeing, all these countries starting to fall, where someone like Poland, who didn't take in any refugees from Syria or any of these other places, they're doing just fine on crime. Why don't people realize this?
Because they use our freedoms to exploit the reality of what their ideology is. Just like in the Cold War, Carl, we had Russians that were dissidents that were coming here for freedom, and then there were communists and dedicated folks to the Soviet regime. Just in the 21st century, there are tens of 10 to 20% of Muslims that come from these countries that are part of the Islamist movement, that are part of the anti-Western, anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist movement, that are our enemies. But many of us can lead, and we've been trying to lead and have been marginalized by the DEI movements, by the identity movements, saying that Islam is a race. It's not a race. It's an ideology that's theocratic at its core, and the way to defeat it is to use Americanism as a counter, which is our founding fathers' vision, which is against theocracy. And Dahlia and others in our Clarity Coalition have been screaming this from the rooftops, but ignored by the establishment in Washington that wanted to be part of the Obama-Biden identity politic.
It's crazy. Well, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, Dahlia Zadia, appreciate the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, before we go, it's Thursday. We got some horrendous yet endearing names people calling me on the internet. We got comments for Carl next.